Debt stories in Africa are diverging. Ghana and Zambia are moving forward with recovery, with restructuring deals in place and credit improving. But not all stories are positive. Kenya faces mounting debt pressures, while Senegal is grappling with one of Africa's most severe debt crises. I'm Johanna Bota, and joining me today to break it all down for us is Afamefuna Umeh, StoneX's head of fixed income Sub-Saharan Africa. Welcome, Afamefuna. Nice to have you with us again.
Thank you very much, Joanna. Nice to have you as well.
I want to start with some positive news. So let's begin with Ghana. The country has reached a debt deal, seen credit rating upgrades, and is showing signs of fiscal stabilization. How lasting is this recovery, and what risks still threaten the country's progress?
Okay, for Ghana, the recent, deal approval and the restructuring deal for $2.8 billion has basically increased investor sentiment. And just as you alluded, the upgrade in ratings from Fitch and S&P Global has also further, strengthened the case that the recovery is actually on course, and that if you look at inflation has slowed in Ghana, if you look at FX reserves has increased, if you look at in terms of their policies, in terms of their reforms. So the story is positive. And I think for Ghana, the risks that still inherent would be external factors like commodities prices and the strengthening of the dollar. But the government needs to commit to positive reforms to be able to continue achieving economic stability.
Now, another country that looks on the right track, if that's how you want to look at these things, is Zambia. Debt restructuring has improved the outlook and created space for stabilization. However, some key talks are still unfinished, right? So what needs to happen for Zambia to fully put the debt crisis behind it? And how vulnerable is it until then?
I think for Zambia, it's more of the IMF program. Obviously, the IMF program gave some sort of policy guidance, improved stability, improved investor sort of sentiments in Zambia. A good thing they agreed, a deal with the bondholders, about 3.5 billion thereabout. And what this has done is that it has sort of reduced, sort of the debt stress or the debt burden, and pushed payments, further down the line, sort of giving them a grace period, to be able to allow the economy stabilize, to be able to allow it, kickstart the economic growth. Now, with the deal, Zambia recently asked for a 12-month extension, for the IMF deal. It seems like the reforms, all economic indices that the IMF monitor for now is good for Zambia. So I believe that the way for them to obviously sustain it would be to continue on the path of economic reforms, and also on the path of fiscal discipline, and then moderate expenditure as well, moderation in expenditure, just to be able to sort of meet up with the terms of this program, and also grow the economy.
I see. And on the less positive side, because I think we started with very positive countries. Now let's move on to Kenya, whose future seems a bit more challenging. So rising debt and heavy servicing costs are really squeezing its fiscal space. How close is Kenya to a breaking point, and what steps could ease the pressure?
So I don't think, it looks bad, but I don't think that Kenya is, close to breaking point. I think that, yes, the debt burden, it's high, and there are some revenue collection issues. The Kenyan government has spent heavy on infrastructure development, and then you have most recently the protests, from the youth for against corruption, against police brutality, and against the high, cost of living. I think that with Kenya, it would be more of how they're able to tap, external borrowings and international markets, how they're able to, increase revenue mobilization to give confidence to investors, that they are able to service their debts. So I think more, just like a lot of countries in SSA, I think it's going to be more on, policy reforms, going for policy reforms, and then moderate spending in terms of expenditure, and then revenue mobilization would be on the right path for Kenya to, get to that level where they have some stability.
Okay. And before we let you go, I want to talk about and finish on Senegal, a country that's facing one of Africa's most serious debt crises, like I said earlier on. What makes its situation so severe compared with its peers? And what realistic options, basically, does it have to avoid sliding deeper into a crisis?
I think for Senegal, it all started with the sort of understating of the obligations, right? And then the IMF, program, the deal, which was in negotiations, had to be stalled because an audit was called to actually, ascertain the actual level of debt. It's not looking good, and that sort of, impacted investors' confidence in terms of Senegal. However, I think that on the right path would be negotiating a deal, being able to push for reforms, and then stabilizing the economy at least to be able to, sort of give that sort of confidence to investors, and then be able to get to a level where they can be sustainable and their debt burden can be sustainable.
I see. Afamefuna, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for watching. For more financial content, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.